Well, 2022 has certainly been an up and down year as far as professional wrestling goes, and I talked about the ups, the best matches, my favorite matches of the year. Now it's time to talk about the dregs, the dredges, the absolute worst matches, the stuff I absolutely hated, whether I just wasn't entertained, I thought the matches were shit, I thought they were sloppy, they shouldn't have happened, or all these. Anyway, I'm John Redland with my 15 least favorite matches of 2022 with some honorable mentions. Let me know your matches in the comments, please. And I'm pretty certain that I'm probably going to get hate for this, but you know what? I'm just a wrestling fan. These are just my opinions. I'm not saying you have to agree with this stuff. So, yeah, check out the 30 favorite matches of 2022 list. It's certainly going to be a lot longer than this. Watch it end up going way longer because I'll rant about some of these. But honestly, 2022 has been a really good year as far as in-ring activity for professional wrestling, from the indies to, smaller companies, smaller companies still with some TV, to, companies across the pond, to companies way far out, such as Stardom, New Japan, All Japan, Noah. Too many companies to keep up on. But there have been some bad ones. Some bad ones that have taken place on TV, some bad ones that have taken place on pay-per-view. And it ain't just one company. I'm going to say that right now. So you might be surprised. You might be disappointed. I don't really know or honestly care if people get offended by it because these are just my opinions. So, honorable mentions: Edge and Beth versus Miz and Maurice at the Rumble. I know there were some people that liked this. That's fine. I had no idea why this was happening on pay-per-view except to get Maurice out there for some reason and have her wrestle. Beth had to do everything she could to... Look, Maurice was fine when she was active, hit a hell of a DDT, and isn't the most offensive or egregiously, bad talent in the ring. But come on. In 2022, this feud was just not good. It was not good at all. Yeah, you could argue maybe this match was just meant to be pure entertainment. Well, I wasn't very entertained. Then we go to Goldberg versus Reigns for the Universal Championship at Elimination Chamber. I mean, come on. It's Goldberg, who shouldn't be wrestling anymore, hopefully won't. I don't blame him for taking the money, and he gets an obscene amount of money to do this stuff, and he gets to show his kid, that he can still go and he can do his stuff, but honestly, he can't still go because the spirit may be willing, but the body is saying, fuck you. This was bad. Mandy versus Wendy for the NXT Women's Championship, NXT in Your House. It involves Wendy Chu. Why would I not put this up here? I don't hate Wendy Chu as a person at all. There are people on this particular list I don't like as people because of certain things that have been exposed about them, even though I don't know them, but the Wendy Chu character offends me on multiple levels. It doesn't belong in wrestling. It is terrible, and if people find it entertaining, that's fine. This was atrocious and was a black eye on Mandy's reign that may be going on a little bit too long as of this recording, but come on, guys. Wendy, you might as well just you could trot out a freaking PC recruit and have Mandy beat her in a few minutes. This was embarrassing. I don't care that Wendy can wrestle. It's a terrible gimmick. Then we go to Mandy versus St. Elbo's Fire at Halloween Havoc. They had a haunted house thing, and then St. Elbo's Fire lost after trapping Gigi and JC in the house or leaving them there to get eaten by zombies. And then they show up later, and they cost St. Elbo's Fire the victory. The match was terrible. It was just terrible. It made no goddamn sense. It may have only been topped by the Last Woman Standing, but I'm putting this here because the cinematic aspect of WWE since the pandemic and even since the pandemic ended has offended me. Offended me horribly. Von Wagner versus Solo Sikoa in Falls Count Anywhere match on NXT for August 23rd. Or at least late August. I might be off on the date. And you know what? I hate putting a Solo Sikoa match on here because Solo was one of the few bright spots of NXT. NXT 2.0, and then in the very early parts of NXT White and Gold, or whatever we're calling it. And he's really good. He is good. He has definitely been one of the few bright spots as far as people they've signed. But this involves Von Wagner, the lobotomized zebra, and a dumpster. I mean, if that isn't symbolism, I don't know what is, because Von Wagner, as a wrestling character, belongs in the dumpster. The dumpster is probably more sanitary, more charismatic, it could work better, and the dumpster moves on wheels. So the dumpster is stationary unless either wind blows it, or it's on a hill, or you push it. It needs momentum to go and somehow moves around better than heavy metal Von Wagner. Now we get to the list proper. Number 15, Evil versus Ishii. Never Openweight Championship. Wrestle Kingdom night. One of the Wrestle Kingdoms. Night 1 or 2, I don't exactly remember because I just remember hating this match. It made Ishii seem really, really goddamn inept when Ishii is not inept. And Evil, this whole House of Torture thing, they made the referee look stupid. They made everybody look stupid. The crowd hated it. And the crowd couldn't boo or cheer because they were still on the noise restriction thing. I really hope that changes by the time we get to Wrestle Kingdom 17 because I understand why New Japan did it. I understand why the government did it. I get it. What they need to do is they need to just lift that, let them cheer, and then they can boo the House of Torture because the House of Torture is really, really bad stuff. It's really bad programming. It's really bad for New Japan. Even though Sho as a heel could work and Evil as a heel could work, you still have Yujiro there, and then you also have Dick Togo, Dick repeatedly inserting himself and choking people from behind, and we don't want that. Or at least the vast majority of fans don't. Number 14. Jade Cargill versus Tai Conte, TBS Championship AEW Revolution. Okay. Some people were surprised I even put Jade on my worst or my least favorite wrestlers of the year list. Jade has a movie star quality look about her. A superstar quality look about her. And the entrance and all that. She does all this stuff and everything. And I know she tries, but dear God, once the bell rings, you just realize that this is like watching if Goldberg had never gotten any training. They just let him go out there and work longer matches. Jade has no business working matches more than 2 minutes. I'm not saying she's not an amazing athlete. But she's working with Ty, and Ty's stock dropped so goddamn much, just like she dropped to her for Sammy. And he decided to drop Pam, and now they are the most hated couple in wrestling, at least one of. But even taking that, even putting personal feelings aside and personal stuff aside, this match was garbage. This was pure, unadulterated garbage. And not even the worst women's match that AEW put out. Not even the worst women's match that was put out. That comes up a little bit later. But this gets mentioned. It gets mentioned in large part to Ty because Ty just seemed like she stopped caring by around Full Gear of last year. Number 13, Ishii versus Evil. Never open weight lumberjack match. New Japan Golden Series. On the same night that Sonata, Naito, Okada, and Tanahashi had their incredible tag match, we had this. That again made Ishii look like a goddamn idiot. And with a whole bunch of bullshit. Just, God damn it. Just, God damn it. Oh, this is so bad. This is so bad. This is terrible. This was just, God, I mean, I understand Ishii is pretty much about done as far as being a guy that you can fully rely on to have incredible matches. I think he'll have one more G1 and will probably drop further down the card because, let's be honest, he's needed shoulder surgery apparently for over half a decade and just refuses to get it. He's a great athlete and he can sell well because he's really in legit pain and he can do a lot. He can only do so much, and this was proof of that. Number 12, I was originally going to make this Shafir versus Jade on Rampage, I believe. And I was going to make it the women's War Games match just for involving too much furniture. But there was one I forgot about. The Dog Cage Survival match. It was a House of Torture versus, I believe, Goto, Yoshihashi, and Yano? Or was it Yo? I think it was Yo, actually, now that I think about it. And it was for the Never Openweight Six-Man Championship, and it was a dog cage survival match. You had to lock everybody in dog cages. And then, kennel cages. And then you won. I don't know who put this together. Apparently Dick Togo has gotten some booking power there, but if that's not the case, if this was Gato or whoever came up with this idea, deserved to be run out of the company and run into the goddamn ocean until they went glub, glub, glub and never came back up because this was an abysmal goddamn match. And after I realized what was going on with the choices I made, I totally forgot about that one, and I have to say, that's it. That one absolutely deserves to be cemented on here. And that's why it's number 12. Number 11, Blood and Guts, Jericho Appreciation Society versus the Blackpool Combat Club and Eddie Kingston and, probably popcorn vendors and janitors and stuff like that and everything. And look, Blood and Guts, the fact that they went with the War Games motif and went with they couldn't use War Games because of trademark. The last one, the crash pad, the poof. If you just shot away from it, it would have been better. All the stuff that was going on with that one, I understand them using it occasionally. Use it for a big angle. Use it once a year. It makes sense, but this was just after Forbidden Door, if I remember right. And because of how Double or Nothing was here, and more on Double or Nothing here in a little bit, and all these matches between the Jericho Appreciation Society and the Blackpool Combat Club that now is seemingly dissolved because William Regal is gone and Moxley is doing whatever and Danielson's doing whatever, and I don't think they knew what the hell they were doing. They get rid of stables that might have actually possibly worked. I mean, even though it was a mess of a stable, but they keep Jericho's stable around just to soothe his ego because Jericho has a very fragile ego and a fragile mindset that believes he was abducted by aliens. Nevertheless, Blood and Guts was terrible. Sammy falling and doing the plunge. God, the fact that he got back up was a little bit disappointing. They could have used that to write him off TV, and I don't really think he would have been amiss, and he could have gone to Impact or somewhere else. Oh, I forgot he burned his bridge with Impact, doing stuff that he did. By not wanting to be part of something that he wanted to change with whatever they were doing with the partnership last year. Nevertheless, Blood and Guts had elements that weren't bad, but you can't keep bringing furniture or bringing weapons in to a War Games match, and this goes across multiple companies. This doesn't just apply to AEW. WWE with their War Games match, especially the women's War Games match, which did deserve an honorable mention, even though there was talent, and unfortunately Alexa Bliss in it. You can't keep adding weapons doesn't help. Use the War Games cage to inflict pain, have blood, have all the edges. God, it was a mess. Speaking of messes, Butcher and the Blade versus the Hardys in a tables match on Dynamite, April 6th of this year. And yeah, this was terrible because the tables decided they didn't want to cooperate. The Hardys' bodies aren't cooperating anymore. I'm amazed that Jeff didn't do his dance of the ring after Matt made his entrance. Like when he was trying to make his save, he did his dance. And Jeff, I don't think, is going to be back on AEW programming anytime soon, nor should he be, because he has proven that he probably just needs to go home. Probably just needs to go home and stop. Don't do this anymore. Yeah, the Hardys were just totally botched as far as their return and everything, or their AEW formation. This was bad. This was really, really bad. Speaking of bad, from AEW programming, I promise that this isn't just going to be an AEW heavy list, except looking at the rest of the list, it kind of is, because for as much good as AEW did, and I praised a lot of their stuff on the 30 favorite matches of the year list, which again, you should totally check out, they did a lot of bad shit, such as Adam Cole, baby, that he may or may never come back. I hope that he does. I just hope he has a good quality of life. Took on Orange Cassidy in a lights out match at AEW Beach Break. He lost via a hug. And then we were supposed to take Adam Cole, baby, seriously. And I know there are people that like Orange Cassidy. That's fine. I would rather take a claw hammer to my goddamn noggin than praise an Orange Cassidy match. And there are probably people that love AEW that would love for me to do that, even though I'm just a fan like all of you. For whatever reason, AEW diehards get upset when you say that something in their company wasn't perfect, and it's an opinion. That's all it goddamn is, guys. That's it. Off my soapbox. He lost via a hug. What the hell else do I need to say? Number 9. Rather number 8. So goddamn flustered by him losing via a hug. Yeah, Adam Cole was already neutralized from the moment that he arrived because Bryan Danielson showed up and torpedoed that. And then once they got 3/4 of the Undisputed Era going, they just didn't do anything with it. Now Adam Cole, hopefully he's going to have a good quality of life, because I'm worried about him. Number 8, anyway, the Hardys versus the Bucks at AEW Double or Nothing. This was like almost Hogan and Warrior 2 Halloween Havoc levels of bad, where the timing was off. Jeff was moving like he was goddamn concussed, because he probably was. Matt couldn't move. The Bucks just do the same insufferable shit that they always do, and it was bad. It was really, really bad. It was a dream match that they did better on, was it an indie show or a Ring of Honor show in 2017 before they showed up at Mania 33. I'm trying to remember. I know they faced him, and I know I saw the match, but it's escaping me because it was almost 6 goddamn years ago. The Hardys and the Bucks had their match, and it was shit. It was dog shit. Speaking of dog shit, I know we're only 3 matches into this as of the recording, but Death Triangle versus the Elite, the best of 7 series. It's same as it ever was, same as it ever was, same as it goddamn ever was. You have Pac, Penta, and Phoenix against the Elite. I'm not a fan of the Elite at all, and I'm never going to be a fan of the Elite, even though I have praised their matches in the past, but it's the same shit. They are just doing this simply to, give them the ego stroking and the glory hound win at the end. Fortunately, they won't be at the Dynamite I'm going to on April 4th, January 4th. The Bucks might. God help me. But Omega won't be because he'll be fighting Ospreay in the Dome. So it is what it is. It's the same shit. Looking at the match they had at Full Gear and then another match. And, let's do a best of 7 series. Why? Why? If you like this stuff, great. I don't. Because it's just hitting the move spam button or whatever it is on the controller for a video game. That's all it is. Even if they are great athletes and also the Bucks are there. It's bullshit. And I don't care if we're not even halfway through the goddamn series. You can't technically be halfway through a best of 7 series unless you call it, halfway through the 4th match. But nevertheless, it's just same damn shit. Number 6, Yano versus Suzuki, Dog Cage Death Match, KOPW, the Golden Finals, New Japan Golden Finals, and come on. Come on. You made me hate Suzuki and Yano, who can do comedy but can also do great wrestling. And it was a dog collar survived. It was a dog cage death match. A dog cage death match. And yes, I know that Suzuki's been involved in a bunch of ridiculous stuff. And he can get away with that. And sure, Yano does ridiculous stuff and can get away with that. This is just more that they are obsessed apparently with abusing dogs or bringing awareness to abused dogs over there or what. I don't know what the deal is. I don't know why there was one dog cage based match or let alone 2. Anyway, number 5, Wendy versus Tiffany Lights Out match, NXT. From the same show that had Solo versus Von Wagner in a dumpster, with a dumpster involved. Speaking of the dumpster, toss this match in the goddamn dumpster. This is the highest ranked women's match on the list. And I'm going to say right now, look, Tiffany is good for, being, not being in wrestling way too long. She's a very good athlete. And Wendy can wrestle. She can. It's a stupid gimmick. They brought out Legos to take a bum. And if you're going to do Legos in any company, I don't care. It's garbage automatically. And this was garbage. Because NXT 2.0 by and large was garbage. God, this is such fucking... This made me angry. This made me nearly swear off reviewing NXT because it was stupid. And if I was in charge of the goddamn company, I would have fired everybody that was involved in this. Said, how about this? Instead of firing, I'll give you 6 weeks or 6 months off of TV with pay. You don't do any shit like this. You just stay at home and then you apologize when you come back and then you can come back and wrestle. If I'm going to criticize the men for doing it, I'm going to criticize the women for doing it. Speaking of criticizing the men, Ric Flair and Andrade versus Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett, Ric Flair's last match. They got me to buy this. There was a decent undercard. There was also Karrion Kross versus Davey Boy Smith Jr. and one of the worst matches of the year that wasn't mentioned here. That gets an honorable mention as well. Late honorable mention. But Flair, look, the man has a pacemaker. The man had a lot of health issues. I mean, even though he claims to be sober, at least mostly sober, he did so much damage to his body by continuing to wrestle, continuing to party, continuing to be the Nature Boy, and all the stuff that he did. Yes, nobody expected Ric Flair to do all that much, but my God, they got a pretty decent house there. Nashville Municipal Auditorium, I think is what it was. It was a pretty packed area, all things considered. And Ric Flair he passed out like twice. He faked a heart attack. He may have actually legit been having a pacemaker. Might have just said, let's shock you back to reality. Oop, there goes gravity. This was agonizing to watch. And I would have said I was worried about Ric Flair, but honestly, he got in the ring and did this shit, so it was kind of his fault whatever happened. But this was abysmal, and somehow this wasn't the worst match of the year. You know what was worse than this? Anarchy in the Arena, Jericho Appreciation Society versus the Blackpool Combat Club. I did enjoy how Wild Thing kept playing like New Jack's music. That was kind of funny because it at least hid the fact that we would, A, have to listen to the commentary, try to justify this horse shit, and also Bryan Danielson, Daniel Bryan, whatever name you want to call him by, Bryan Danielson here, he got a concussion and was out for a bit because they hit each other with a whole bunch of weapons of bullshit, and he took the fall. This was stupid. It was as bad as the goddamn Stadium Stampede matches from the previous 2 years. But now they're in a full crowd. They're doing all this. I mean, they were in front of a full crowd for Stadium Stampede 2, Electric White. We go back to this Well Boogaloo. But Anarchy in the Arena and Jericho thought this was a really good idea. Jericho, you know, the guy that has the wife that was with the mother-in-law on January 6th and tried to take part in the insurrection, the overtaking of a legal election, because she's a goddamn idiot just like Jericho, off the soapbox. Bad. Absolutely terrible. Speaking of terrible, something else involving Jericho, and unfortunately Eddie Kingston was involved in this. Barbed Wire Everywhere Dynamite, July 20th. Come on. Had Eddie won, I might have knocked this match actually into the honorable mentions. Jericho won. Why? Why did Jericho win? Oh, Eddie beat him at Revolution, so Jericho had to get his win back. No, he didn't. Jericho feuds go on forever to the point that nobody gets over. Not even Jericho. Jericho just gets people less over. And I'm just saying, I know that fans shouldn't use terminology like that, but this was Barbed Wire Everywhere. They did a sloppy thing where Sammy and Jericho missed time, so they made Eddie look like an idiot. Eddie lost, and then Eddie tossed Jericho on the spider web barbed wire, and oh no, he's all tangled up and everything. God, it would have been such a shame if he would have been tangled up in that for a while. And then he had to admit he's a goddamn piece of shit, an insurrection supporter, and a goddamn fucking moron that decided to donate thousands of dollars to a guy that did terrible, terrible things, but then Jericho claims to be a good person. Barbed Wire Everywhere. And there's bullshit everywhere is what it should have been called. Speaking of bullshit everywhere, number 1, and I'm going to get hate for this, Johnny Knoxville versus Sami Zayn, Mania 38. Anything Goes match. I hated this so much. I nearly shut off the goddamn show. I nearly said, that's it. I'm not going to review WWE anymore. And it would have been a shame because I would have missed out on some great goddamn wrestling, but this is the most egregiously offensive thing I've seen this year. One, Johnny Knoxville has no goddamn attached brain. He even admits he has CTE. That stupid midget deserved to be thrown head first into the goddamn announcer's table. Any of the other jackass people deserve to be goddamn set on fire in front of their families. And this entire ring should have been set on fire. This was embarrassing. And Sami Zayn, what I would have done, I would have just said, okay, Sammy, go home for 6 months. And then you can come back and we'll have the stink washed off. But then he went into the thing with the bloodline, and okay, I mean, other people are more sold on the story than I am, but he has been killing it in this comedy/emotional role. But the Knoxville versus Zayn match is one of the worst, most egregiously offensive things that WWE has done in years. Now, people liked it, that's fine. You can like it all you damn well want. I honestly would have been happy with the stock tanking to goddamn zero. Because that's what this match basically did. It tanked my interest in that particular night to 0. Because it was offensive. It wasn't entertaining. This wasn't sports entertainment. It's capitalizing on Jackass, where yes, they did Jackass forever. They did all this stuff. And people like Jackass. That's fine. People also like having their balls stepped on Main Street. That doesn't make it right, and that doesn't make it good, and this is what I'm going to say. I'm going to die on this goddamn hill because I hated this. I absolutely hated this, and I was ready just for something. I did a goddamn volcano to burst up and set everybody that booked this goddamn thing and put this thing together on fire. And everybody that filmed it. Get a new camera crew, get people that weren't willing to sacrifice their goddamn dignity by filming this shit. Well, yeah, and fuck that goddamn midget. Why the hell are we allowing midgets, untalented goddamn idiots, in wrestling when there are other talented short people that can do some really good stuff? Egregious, terrible, God, this was bad. Anyway, so yeah, let's see what 2023 brings. Hopefully, less shit. But there was a lot of really good stuff, because I only did 15 least favorite matches and did 30 favorite matches, so check out both those lists. Well, actually, you're checking out this one right now, so check out the other one to hear me praise shit. Anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritlin. I'll see you soon.